Part 1. Aristotle, the man who wanted to understand everything. He did not walk the streets asking questions like Socrates. He sat down, he observed, he organized the world. Aristotle was born in 384 BC, many years after Socrates. He did not know him personally, but Socrates changed everything before him. Socrates asked questions. Plato wrote ideas. Aristotle wanted structure. He was born in Macedonia. His father was a doctor. From a young age, Aristotle learned to observe carefully, to notice details, to ask not only why but also how. When he was young, Aristotle went to Athens. He studied at Plato's academy for many years. He listened, he learned, but slowly he began to disagree. Plato believed truth lived in ideas. Aristotle believed truth lived in reality. He once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." But for Aristotle, knowing yourself also meant understanding the world around you. He looked at plants. He studied animals. He observed people. He asked simple questions. What makes something good? What makes a person happy? What is the purpose of life? Aristotle believed nothing exists without a reason. Everything has a cause. Everything has a function. He once said, "Nature does nothing uselessly." And he believed the same about humans. Unlike Socrates, Aristotle wrote everything down. Notes, lists, definitions, categories. He wanted knowledge to stay, to be taught, to be passed on. He was calm, he was patient, he was systematic. And because of that, he became one of the most influential minds in history. But Aristotle was not only a thinker. Soon, the world would ask him to teach power itself. Part 2. When knowledge met power. Aristotle was not interested in fame. He was interested in clarity. For many years he studied quietly in Athens. He wrote, he observed. He categorized ideas. But then something unexpected happened. The king of Macedonia noticed him. Philip II was building power. He wanted strength, order, intelligence. And for his son, he wanted the best teacher. That son was Alexander. Aristotle was invited to teach a boy who would later be called the Great. This was not a classroom with walls. Lessons happened while walking, while talking, while observing nature. Aristotle believed learning should follow life, not hide from it. He taught Alexander how to think, not what to think. He once said, "Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all." For Aristotle, knowledge without character was dangerous. Aristotle spoke about balance, about limits, about reason. He believed that extremes destroy people. Too much desire, too much anger, too much pride. He called this idea the golden mean, not too much, not too little, just enough. He believed happiness does not come from pleasure alone. It comes from living well, from using reason, from becoming better over time. He once said, "Happiness depends upon ourselves, not on luck, not on birth, not on power." As Alexander grew stronger, Aristotle watched carefully. He knew something important. Ideas shape actions. Teachers shape leaders. Soon, Alexander would leave to conquer the world, and Aristotle would return to Athens carrying something heavy. The knowledge that ideas can guide power, but they cannot always control it. And this realization would change Aristotle's life forever. Part 3. When the student became too powerful. Alexander left to conquer the world. Aristotle stayed behind. At first, news came slowly. Victories, new lands, new cities. Alexander moved fast, too fast. The world was changing under his steps. Aristotle watched from a distance. He had taught Alexander about reason, about balance, about limits. But power changes people. Alexander began to act like a god. He demanded worship. He ignored advice. This worried Aristotle. He believed power without wisdom is dangerous. He believed success can blind even the brightest mind. He once said, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." But Alexander began to believe he knew everything. Aristotle returned to Athens and opened his own school, the Lyceum. Unlike Plato's academy, this school was open. Lessons happened while walking, talking, thinking together. Aristotle taught many subjects: logic, ethics, politics, biology, poetry. He believed knowledge should be connected, not separated. He asked practical questions. What makes a good leader? What makes a good citizen? What makes a good life? He believed humans are social by nature. We need others. We grow together. He once said, "Man is by nature a political animal," not meaning politics as power, but as shared life. But Athens remembered something else. Aristotle was from Macedonia, and Macedonia now ruled Greece. When Alexander died suddenly, the world shook, and fear returned to Athens. Fear of foreign power, fear of influence, fear of ideas. The city turned its eyes toward Aristotle, and once again, a philosopher became a problem. Part 4. He chose a different ending. After Alexander's death, Athens changed quickly. Old fears returned, anger grew, and suspicion looked for a target. Aristotle was an easy one. He was connected to Macedonia. He had taught the conqueror. He was powerful through ideas. People accused him of disrespecting the gods, the same charge once used against Socrates. Aristotle remembered that story very well. He knew how it ended. This time, the city prepared another trial, another judgment, another possible death. But Aristotle made a different choice. He said, "I will not allow Athens to sin twice against philosophy." He left the city, not because he was afraid to die, but because he believed his work was not finished. For Aristotle, staying alive was not weakness, it was responsibility. He believed philosophy should help life continue, not end it. He moved to a quiet place outside Athens. There, he continued to write, to teach, to organize knowledge. Even in exile, he remained calm. He believed truth does not need martyrdom to survive. It needs clarity. It needs time. Unlike Socrates, Aristotle chose movement over resistance, silence over confrontation, survival over symbolism. This choice divided opinions. Some called him coward, others called him wise. But Aristotle understood something important. There is more than one way to serve truth. Some stand and die. Some step away and continue. Both leave a mark. Aristotle lived for one more year. He died in 322 BC, quietly, away from crowds and courts. But his ideas did not leave with him. They were just beginning. Part 5. He built the way we think. After Aristotle left Athens, his life became quieter, but his mind never slowed down. He wrote every day. He organized ideas carefully. He believed that knowledge should not be confusing. It should be clear, step by step. Aristotle studied almost everything. He wrote about logic, how to think correctly. He wrote about ethics, how to live well. He wrote about politics, how societies work. He wrote about nature, plants, animals, the human body. No one before him tried to understand the world in such a complete way. He once said, "The aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance." For Aristotle, this was true for life itself. He believed that habits shape character. What you do every day becomes who you are. Good actions create good people. Bad actions create the opposite. He said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence for him was not a gift, it was a practice. Aristotle believed happiness is not a feeling that comes and goes. It is a result of living with reason and balance, of choosing the middle path again and again. Not too much, not too little, just enough. This idea influenced education, science, and philosophy for centuries. Long after his death, his works traveled through the Roman world, the Islamic world, and later Europe. For almost 2,000 years, people learned how to think by reading Aristotle. He did not change the world with force. He changed it with structure, and sometimes structure is stronger than power. Part 6. The Quiet Mind That Never Left. Aristotle did not die in a courtroom. He did not drink poison. He did not become a symbol of sacrifice. He became something else, a foundation. After his death, his works continued to travel. Students copied them. Teachers explained them. Thinkers argued with them. Century after century. People used Aristotle to learn how to think. He gave the world tools, how to define ideas, how to compare arguments, how to search for causes. He believed that understanding begins with observation, with looking carefully at what is real, not what we wish to be real. He once said, "Those who know, do. Those that understand, teach." And Aristotle did both. His influence reached far beyond Greece. Roman thinkers studied him. Islamic scholars preserved and expanded his work. Medieval universities built their education around his ideas. For a very long time, to learn was to learn Aristotle. He did not promise easy answers. He promised a method, a way to approach life with balance, reason, and patience. Unlike Socrates, he did not die for truth. Unlike Alexander, he did not rule the world. But he shaped how the world understands itself. Aristotle believed that a good life is not perfect. It is practiced, chosen again and again, through habits, through reason, through balance. And that idea still speaks to us. Every time someone asks how to live well, every time someone searches for meaning instead of comfort, every time someone chooses clarity over chaos, Aristotle is there, quiet, systematic, enduring, not as a voice shouting in the street, but as a mind that never left.
Thanks! Please subscribe and like. Spin a new yarn with us every week.